Hello. Today I want to talk to you about three things, and I'm going to try to be succinct: communication, expectations, and boundaries. And I'll see if they fit together once we get to the end. Communication is important in all relationships, because that's the only way for our significant others or loved ones to know what we're thinking. And it sounds simple enough, right? But for some reason, we all struggle. Maybe not everybody, but many of us struggle. I struggle with it because I know we need to communicate, and I kind of do that for a living. But sometimes in my relationships, I just choose not to say anything. What good does that do? If I choose not to say anything, it's like something happens. If I choose not to say anything, what's the likelihood of it happening again? Probably close to 100%. So what happens when it happens again? Do I choose not to say anything, or do I say something about it? Most times you choose not to say anything because you didn't say anything the first time, and you just hope that they'll know that you don't like it or that it bothers you. You just hope that they'll know somehow. And what's the likelihood of them knowing that you don't like it if you don't communicate? So in friendships, relationships, families, school, work, everywhere, it's best if you communicate. I teach college classes, and I tell my students all the time, if something is happening, let me know. I have students often who will miss assignments, or they'll miss class repeatedly, miss assignments repeatedly, and I'll send them messages going, is there something wrong? What's happening? Please tell me what's wrong, because I have the ability to extend grace to them. But if I don't know what's happening, if you just stop coming to class, I don't have many choices but to fail you if you don't communicate. So that same premise translates to every part of our lives. If you don't communicate, the person can't know what's happening. You won't know what's happening. They won't know what you're thinking. You don't know what they're thinking. And we are all just left in the dark. But we want to grow. We don't want to stay the same in our relationships. If something is bothering you or something happens, just say something about it. Just say something. It's very simple. Because if you don't say something and it happens again, you start building up anger and resentment. And then it happens again, and this thing starts building. It keeps building. Before you know it, you're yelling at them over something very small and minute. But your anger has been built over time. But they don't know that. And that's how relationships get destroyed. It's so important to just say something. Like today, I have an issue. One of my roommates decided to wash her dishes instead of washing our dishes. And we had a conversation about this. So I'm thinking now I should just ask her, is there a reason you didn't wash my dishes and you washed only your dishes? That's much easier than what was starting to happen when you start building up resentment, building up anger. Like, oh, you're not going to wash my dishes. Oh, we're being petty today. Oh, so I could be petty too. Watch this. And then you have some passive aggressive stuff coming on. Watch me do this. Now I'm being petty because I think you're being petty, but because I didn't talk to you about it, I don't know what the deal is. And you don't know what I'm feeling. So do you see how destructive it can be to not communicate? So my point there is just say something. And that brings us to expectations. Expectations are unexpressed wishes. Now, most of us have expectations of people who have no idea that we have expectations of them. And our expectations may come from our family or from society or from what we've heard about our friends talk about or seen on TV. So like we women expect men to do certain things. I expect you to open my car door. I expect for you to open the door when I walk into the building. I have these expectations, but did we discuss them? No. So what if you're dating a man who is perfectly lovely in every other way, but he wasn't raised by his father, or he wasn't raised by his parents? Maybe he was in foster care. And he never learned that a man is supposed to walk on the outside of the sidewalk. When he's walking with a woman, he's supposed to hold the car door open for her or pull the chair out. He may not have learned any of that. But we have these expectations, right? So we're going to judge based on our expectations that we're not even sure the other person knows about. Again, communication, right? Communicate your expectations and discuss them. If the other person agrees to meet your expectations, then we have peace in the home. If you have expectations of someone and you have never discussed it with them, then your expectations are your problems, and your expectations will get you disappointed every time. But your expectations will bring you pain, and they're your issues. If you're not communicating your expectations to the people who you have expectations of, then you're setting yourself up for failure. That makes sense? Okay, and then we're going to talk about boundaries. Boundaries are limits. When we set limits on things, we are setting a boundary for ourselves. So, for example, if you and your friend have discussed an expectation, and both agreed to this expectation, and then they don't follow up with it, then we have the need to set a boundary. So we talked about the fact that you need to be home. We both need to be home by 11 p.m. I expect you home at 11 p.m. You have the right to expect me home at 11 p.m. So these are our expectations. We both agree to meet them. So we get someone coming in at 11:30. It's like, wait, I thought we discussed coming in at by 11. That's our expectations. And this is where I need to set a boundary then. So the boundary is, if you're not in by 11 o'clock, then we're not cool. I'm going to lock the door because I have set a boundary based on the expectations we have. So we say, okay, maybe we don't want to lock the door. Okay, I don't want you to lock the door. Okay, then let's either adjust these expectations or let's set a boundary that we both can meet, right? So boundaries are limits we set on others and ourselves that we both agree on, right? We both know about them. We both agree on them. And these are the things that help us to be in relationship with each other. So this is as far as this can go, okay? So if we both agree that you wash my dishes and I'll wash your dishes, that's the expectation. So then when it doesn't happen and you wash yours and I wash mine, then my expectations are gone. I'm setting boundaries from this point forward. So what is the boundary? Okay, I'll wash my own, you wash your own. And we won't be angry with each other. How about that? So let's try it. Let's try communicating clearly what we want and don't want, what we like and don't like, and our expectations. Let's communicate them. If you don't communicate your expectations and you get your feelings hurt because someone disappointed you by not meeting your expectations, that disappointment is your problem because you never communicated and got them to agree to the things you expected. And then we have our boundaries. Boundaries we'll set if we have agreed on expectations and they're not met, then we have to set a boundary. It's like, okay, this is not okay. This is where the boundary is going to be. And from this point forward, we'll operate knowing that this is not okay. Okay? All right. Like, subscribe, and share. And there'll be more coming tomorrow. This is week 2 of our 9-week challenge. And thank you for watching.